Come on, Livingston, we're gonna go on and on and on. Together we can make it. We're gonna go on and on and on. Come on, Livingston.
Knocks it through. Mullen bursting into the box. Josh Mullen.
Together we can make it.
Mullen's ball across. It's turned in. It's Pittman who's got it. Livingston leads.
Can they get the ball back in? O'Brien.
Lead! And Livingston have the lead.
Man, you score.
If we march together.
The full-time whistle blows and David Hayes celebrates. And the Livingston fans join in exultation.
Come on, Livingston.
Livingston have the lead against Rangers, and they are certainly rising to a few occasions on their return to the top flight in Scotland.
Come on, Livingston.
Hello and welcome back to TalkLivi, the podcast dedicated to everything Livingston Football Club. My name's Euan and I'm joined today by Andy. Unfortunately, the two Callums are nowhere to be seen. We believe Bruni's probably lost on the way home from Dingwall because his sense of direction is absolutely appalling. And Callum Waugh, we believe, milking cows. So, that's what they're doing this weekend. Andy, how you doing?
Yeah, yeah, I'm good. Can we just clarify, when you say milking cows, Callum Moore is a milkman. So just to clarify that, he's probably not actually milking cows. He's maybe organising delivery of milk. But yeah, I'm doing fine. Yeah, just wanted to clarify that so we didn't get any questions this week about that.
That's fine, we'll let him answer them. So with a busy few weeks with Livi and Scotland games, we're going to have some extra episodes over the next few weeks, so keep an eye out for those. But on this episode, we'll look back at our game with Ross County. We stopped the run of defeats, but was it good enough? It's a return to Betfred Cup action on Tuesday as we face Stenhousemuir in our third of four group games. A win will surely seal our place in the last 16. And finally on this episode, we look at the biggest game for Scotland in many years. We talk all things Scotland. Can we make history in Serbia?
It's been a tough watch recently for Livi fans, with 3 defeats in a row and a run of poor performances to match those results. We faced a Ross County side also struggling for form, with 1 win in 8, so it came as no surprise that a scrappy game was to ensue. We tagged this game last week as a must not lose. We didn't lose, but are we happy, or are there still more questions than answers? Euan?
I think the gaffer summed it up quite well last night, to be honest. I think, first half it was really scrappy. There wasn't, both teams, there wasn't a lot of kind of passes, ball on the ground sort of stuff played. But I think that's partly down to what the gaffer said last week, in that he wanted us to get back to doing the basics right. He wanted us back being scrappy, that element of our game, and I think that was apparent first half. I think we pressed the ball, we got in their faces a bit more, and that was clear to be seen. Really should have been one up. Jet's chance. We talked about Ross County struggling with balls into the box, and I mean, it was a simple throw. Jet turns and he's just about taking the paint off the ball. How hard he's hit it, but how he's missed the target altogether, I'm not sure. I think we had another couple openings. I thought Sibbald, in the first half in particular, I think he was the one player on our side that was really trying to get the ball down and create and open up, despite maybe playing a bit out of position for him. I think he did open them up a few times. He put Forrest down the left-hand side. Devlin got in behind. But our Achilles heel came back to haunt us this season, which is defending our box. And as much as I was just giving Sibbald credit there, I think he switched off for the goal. Shaw's not had to do an awful lot to peel off him at the front post, and fair play to him. He's taken it well, but we weren't switched on. It's another really sloppy goal to concede, but credit to the team. They came out second half, and I think the elements that we've been talking about in terms of us getting the ball down and looking a bit more threatening, I think the build-up play for our equaliser was excellent. Great wee reverse ball by Lawson, who filled in at left back, and I think had a pretty assured performance there. Again, playing out of position. Pittman, great ball across, and our man Nicky Devlin just about tackles the post in the process, but comes in at the back post. And I think, to be honest, I think we had another couple of chances after that. Pittman had one, he dragged past the post. There was another one, Sibbald got in behind, ball across. Jet as well, kind of getting in behind later on. But I think the game started to get really stretched second half. I think it was quite end to end. And I would probably say a draw was a very fair result. I think if any team had gone on to win the game, I think it would have been a wee bit unjust. So I think a draw was probably fair over the piece. But there's lots of things I think there's lots of positives to take from the game, especially. But the main thing is we've stopped that kind of rot of defeats, and hopefully, as I say, we can pick on the positives from that game and take it into the Betfred games that are coming up next week.
Yeah, I think you've got it pretty much spot on, Euan. I was slightly surprised with the starting lineup. I'm not going to lie. We obviously discussed it last week with a few changes, potentially a few changes, but didn't materialise. On Lawson, what I'll put out there is, I think, yeah, he did do really well at left back. I thought he was one of our best players in the game. But I think that quick cameo in the sort of midfield when he done that reverse ball showed what he's capable of in his natural position. I think it's something potentially to look at going forward, maybe moving him into the midfield, possibly. I hate saying this, but Bartley, I don't think has been quite at it this season. Potentially replacing Bartley, I think Lawson and Sibbald could give us some form of creativity in there. Not that we've been lacking it, because we have been creating chances and scoring goals, but potentially just add something different, a little bit more mobility in there, and you're still getting that combative style in there as well. On the game, yeah, I mean, the goal we've conceded, that, like you say, it's back to our usual not defending our box very well. I've watched it back 2 or 3 times. Still, I don't understand how he's got so much space. There's no player within a good few yards there. It's a great header, don't get me wrong, but he should never be allowed that space. I'm slightly confused by our setup as well. I mean, you'll know better doing a bit of coaching, Euan, but to me, there should be someone standing on the corner of the 6-yard box defending that front post as well. If there's someone there, they're clearing the ball. He's not even getting on the header. So that's something to pick up on. But I agree. I think we've done okay in the game. What I would say is, in the first half, I think we forgot how to play football. I think we took the message off, let's get scrappy, and back to being a bit sort of dirty, not dirty in terms of tackle, but dirty in the game up and making it scrappy. I think we took that too much to heart, and we done too much yet and forgot to play football in the right areas, which we have been doing previously, and it made for pretty poor watch. I thought it wasn't a great first half. Second half, you're right. I thought the first 20 minutes we came out, played a lot more football, created some good chances, got our goal, really good goal. Good to see Nicky getting his first goal for the club. But then after that, I felt like we lost a wee bit of momentum again. I felt like at that stage we could have maybe capitalised on that, made a couple of changes for our benefit. I was a bit surprised with the changes. I thought Josh Millen might have got a run out against his former club. I thought Scott Tiffany would have come on. I think those two would have caused them lots of problems. Instead, we kind of went with more strength rather than pace by bringing Podlotnik on. I think Jet went over wide. I know he's played there down south, but I don't think he's got the mobility to do that now. I think the obvious change would have been Tiffany for Jet. But overall, yeah, I am happy. I think it was really important in the game not to lose. We didn't lose. We stopped that, as you say, that lose and run. And it keeps the teams above us within touch and distance. And I think that was really important during the game last night, that we didn't let Ross County get ahead of us in the league too far. We're only a point ahead. We've got a few big games coming up. Hopefully we can sort of go into them with confidence after the Betfred Cup games, like you say. But overall, I was really pleased with how we adapted in the second half to going behind.
Yeah, I mean, I'll pick up on kind of what you said about Steve Lawson. I've said it over the last couple of years doing the podcast. He's a player I really like in the middle of the park, purely for that bit of drive he gives you. You know, I think he's probably our only midfielder that's really wants to pick the ball up and try and carry the ball. And I think he does that really well. He adds a bit of tempo into the midfield, I think, and that's maybe something we're missing at times in the middle of the park. And you kind of, as you say, when he stepped into midfield almost from left back, and he was really creative when he gets the ball. He's a player I really like for that reason. I would like to see him kind of get a run out in the middle of the park. I think he would almost complement someone. I know you're saying Bartley coming out, but I think he would complement Bartley in that. But if Bartley just kind of sticks to doing his job and Marshall in the back four type thing, it allows Lawson to kind of break away and, you know, help in attacks and stuff like that. Yeah, I think can't really disagree with what you're saying about the changes. I think we had them on the ropes first 20 minutes, and I think we really could have capitalised. We've talked about their defence in terms of defending their box, a bit similar to us this season. They're really poor kind of cross balls and stuff like that. So I thought it would have been natural to go and put Josh Millen on to just pepper their box almost. And you could see when Poplatnik came on, he was playing on the shoulder. I think, you know, had you put Tiffany in that role, I think again it could have caused a lot of problems. But yeah, as I say, it was a decent performance. It was a decent reaction to the Motherwell game in particular. Point I'd pick up on: do you think when we play Jet up front, it almost forces us to kind of go really direct and play into Jet rather than, because he lacks that little bit of mobility. Whilst with Tiffany, you know, you're more inclined to go and put a ball down the line or something like that because you know Tiffany will run the channels and run in behind. Do you think we almost fall into a bit of a trap when we play Jet?
Yes, I think you're spot on there. I think we're almost trying to play the way that we played with Lyndon Dykes, but Lyndon Dykes had mobility and he had height, whereas to me Jet's only got a bit of height and strength. He doesn't have that mobility and pace anymore. I think it's no surprise that when Tiffany's played recently, we've played a lot of these balls in behind and a lot of this sort of, and Tiffany's peeled off the centre backs and dragged them out wide, creating space in the middle, and we've looked a lot more threatening, I feel, with Tiffany. I think Jet was better in the game last night. I thought he won his fair share of headers and flick-ons and held the ball up. But again, I didn't feel like we had enough midfield runners supporting him. Whereas with Tiffany, I feel like he can do that almost himself. He can run onto balls over the top himself. He's not relying on midfield runners. He can do that, hold the ball up and then get the ball into the midfield and play from there. Don't think Jet can do that. Without criticising too much, it's a bit of a one-show pony, Jet, I feel. You know, long ball up the top, one flick-ons, doesn't do anything else. There was a period they played in the second half. Ross County were passing about the back and then a defender stepped out from the back, played it out wide. That doesn't happen last season. Dykes is blocking that play off. For me, Dykes was very good at splitting the two centre backs and forcing them to go long. We've not been doing that, and I don't know if that's because the lack of mobility and the lack of pressure from our striker with Jet up there. As you mentioned earlier, he missed a great opportunity. Done really well to bring it down, but he's got to be scoring that as well. I'm still yet to be convinced by him. To me, Tiffany's offered a lot more. And I think we'll probably see him coming into the team in the League Cup games, certainly Stenhousemuir. Whether or not he plays against Airdrie, I suppose it depends on the result, but I think Tiffany's going to be a really important player for us if we can get him back into the team.
Yeah, just on Jet, I don't want to come across as being hypercritical. I know the guy's not played a lot of football recently, so he'll be rusty. You know, we're taking that, you know, we understand that. And I think Callum Carson actually on Facebook made quite a good point. Like, he might have had reserve games under his belt and got minutes that way, whilst the only way he's going to get minutes is by playing in the first team just now. It's the only way we're going to get him up to speed. So, you know, but that is something the management team, I'm sure, would have had to consider when they were signing him. They would have known that he would have been rusty and would have had to get up to speed. And the only way to do that was playing in the first team and getting minutes under his belt. You know, hopefully that is the case. And once we get him kind of all firing, hopefully he can add something to the team. But I agree with you, out multiple striking options we've seen up top this season, I think Tiffany, hands down, has been by far the most effective. I think, for me, he's been involved in our best performances this season. And a large part of it is down to Tiffany and the way he's played and his movement and his mobility up front. So I'd love to see Tiff back in the team for that reason. But yeah, overall, really happy with the point. I think it was a good point to get. But yeah, we need to take the positives from that going into the next games.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to quickly pick up on Euan. The lineup last night. Obviously, we've talked at length about Steve Lawson playing at left back. What's your thoughts then on the likes of Aaron Taylor Sinclair and Jack McMillan sitting? They must be sitting wondering what they've got to do to get a game. Lawson's obviously not played a lot this season, coming back for injuries, then put into left back, out of position. They must be sitting on the bench questioning why they're at the club, will they? I'm
sure they will, but we don't see what goes on behind closed doors. We don't see what's happening in training. That's the only thing I would say on that. Jack McMillan, I'm a massive fan of Jack. I mean, he got pretty much every Young Player of the Year award at the club last season for his performances. I think no matter where he's brought into the team, he always gives you a kind of 7 out of 10. Very reliable, very steady. He maybe doesn't have that same kind of drive that Lawson has at left back. I would maybe say the same with Taylor Sinclair. I don't know if that's what they were maybe looking for, to kind of replicate what Serrano gives you. And that side, I'm going to assume Serrano had a knock or something. That's why he wasn't involved. I don't know if that was maybe their thinking, because we were playing like a 4-3-3 really last night, and maybe it was for the width side of things that they maybe went with Lawson. I can only assume it's tactical, and they maybe looked at Lawson because he does have that bit more drive when he gets on the ball. Like I touched on earlier, he wants to come out of the defence with the ball. That's the only thing I can really say. But yeah, I'm sure if you're the likes of McMillan or Taylor Sinclair, you maybe find that a bit frustrating, but I'm sure it's maybe a tactical thing. Is the only thing I can kind of see from that.
The other thing I just quickly want to pick up on is the slight change in formation. We've went from sort of a 3-5-2 at the start of the season back to 4-2-3-1, and then we've went to almost like a 4-3-3. Do you think that we're not utilising Josh Mullen effectively? Then we're obviously playing Forrest. Is it? I mean, I feel I'm screaming out for Forrest and Millen to start together, because you're just getting so much attacking and so much width there, and that might help Jet a little bit if we get balls into the box. Someone who has ability, because he undoubtedly has ability. You don't play at the level he has without having it. Do you think that we're not utilising that formation to the best of our abilities then? Josh Millen sitting on the bench, he must be eager to get on and play his part.
I've always said it was Sibbald, and I've got a few pals that are Falkirk fans who would say very similar. He's not a wide player. And last night he was kind of playing wide of that 3 up top on the right-hand side. When he does get on the ball, he's so creative, Sibbald. And for me, he would have almost been more influential, in particular the first half, when it was really scrappy, if he was kind of in a central area getting on the ball a bit more, rather than a wide area. I agree with you. I'd love to see Forrest and Mullen starting together, because I think the pace that they add either side of Jet would be fantastic. And also the delivery, the quality they provide on the wide areas, I'd love to see as well. But maybe it's an aspect how fit's Josh. He's not played an awful lot of minutes at Ross County before coming to us, in fairness. And, maybe it's almost like we're not 100% sure what our best team is. And I think that's been the case all season. There's been a lot of changes all the time. Personally, I'd like to see Josh come in for that bit of drive down that side, natural width almost, that him and Forrest would give you, while Sibbald's always going to kind of come in, tuck in and come inside on his left foot. But as I say, at the same time, Sibbald was probably our most creative influence in the game last night in that position. So the management could argue he's done a job in that area for us, hasn't he? So it gives the management a headache, doesn't it? they've got lots of options that they can pick from. But personally, I'd like to see them utilise both their kind of out and out wingers in Forrest and Mullen in the same team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we've said it all. We didn't lose in the game. We picked up a point. We maintained that small gap between the teams in front of us. So hopefully we can take enough positives from the game and we move into the Betfred Cup games. Hopefully on a bit of momentum.
Next up in a busy week for the club, we face our third Betfred Cup group game. It's a trip to League 2 Stenhousemuir, looking to make it 3 wins out of 3 and put us on the brink of qualification to the last 16. We've got to be confident going into this one, don't we?
Oh, we do. I think we've got enough about us to go and win the game comfortably. I think we've approached the Betfred Cup with great professionalism. I don't think there's any doubt. Looking at the 2 previous games, we've went in there with a good squad of players, a good team out, a good starting 11, and we've taken the game to the opposition. We've got a few problems, few headaches against Alloa, but we came out there on top. And again, I think that shows the professionalism that we showed, that we turned that game around and could have won the game a lot more convincingly. Stenhousemuir, I don't think they're the same ability as Alloa. I don't think there's any doubt. They're obviously a League 2 side, relegated last season or the season before. And obviously, I think Edinburgh are probably better than them as well. Looking at the 2 squads, I don't think there's a lot to worry us. I know they've got a few attacking options. The lad Greg Spence, I think he spent a few years at Alloa because there's a few problems. So he's obviously one to watch. I think the boy Mark McGuigan scores a few goals for Stenny. Another one to watch, but obviously I think he's in the latter days of his career. I think he's getting on a bit. Might be wrong, not sure. But yeah, it's another game in plastic as well. So it's a game that we should be comfortable going into. I think we've played a lot of games there over the years. I can see us making a few changes to the team to freshen it up. I don't know what you think, how we'll go into the game, what formation, what team we'll line up with you.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we'll have the quality to kind of see off Stenny. Obviously we need to be professional like we have been in the previous games, but they've had a relatively decent start to the season, to be fair to them. They've drawn quite a few games, but I think they've only lost one. I think that was the game to Airdrie in the League Cup, so unbeaten league start as well. So they'll fancy causing a wee upset. There's already been a few upsets in the group stages already, with the likes of St Mirren, Hamilton, Dundee United, all getting beat by lower league opposition. So they might fancy their chances, but especially because we're not in particularly great form just now. But in terms of changes, I'd expect to see the likes of Taylor Sinclair come in. I'd expect to see the likes of Jack McMillan come in. Obviously, Kieran Brown's on international duty, so probably Fitzwater will get a run out again. I'd quite like to see maybe Poplatnik get a game from the start. Give him a good run out and give him a bit more exposure to kind of Scottish game. I think that would be really beneficial for him. But yeah, I think there'll be a few changes to freshen it up. But we've touched on it all season. I think we do have a really good squad and a lot of strength and depth, so I don't think it will make too much of a difference to the kind of strength of the side. It will be another opportunity for Jet, I'm sure, to get minutes under his belt and get him up to speed as well. So I'm sure he'll probably. I agree with you. I think Tiffany will probably play one at least. I think Jet will probably play the other. But yeah, it's a massive opportunity to kind of steal a seeded spot in the last 16. But we've got to go there and be professional and kind of, very much like the Edinburgh City game. I think when we went 1-up against Edinburgh City, I was absolutely convinced that we were going to go on and win the game comfortably, because I think we had the right mindset that night, and I think we'll need something similar at Stenny.
Yeah, I think you touched on it. I think it's really important we win these next 2 Betfred Cup games and go through as a seeded team. I think that's shown the importance over the years that the seeded teams generally go through again. Not always, but it's a general rule that if you win the group and you go through as a seeded team, you get a good draw. And it'll be interesting this season because of the different dynamics of the other leagues starting a bit later. how the other groups are shaping up, and of course, a couple of the Premiership sides haven't fared as well as you mentioned, the likes of Hamilton, Dundee United, falling to surprise defeats. So you could see them dropping out the cup altogether, which again opens up good chances for a better draw in the last 16. I think you're right. There'll be a lot of changes, but changes that won't affect the starting 11. You say that we've said it all along that we've got a really strong squad. I'm with you. I would like to see Paplatnik just to see what he's got about him from the start. Yeah, okay, it's against a lesser opposition, but if he shows some form of entertainment or does well up front, it causes a lot of problems for Stenhousemuir's defence, and it's something to obviously think about. I can see Jason Holt probably coming back into the team. He was obviously not involved at all against Ross County. And I agree with you. I think McMillan and Aaron Taylor-Sinclair will come in and play right and left back. All just depends on what kind of formation we play. I think George Millen will play. This is maybe the ideal opportunity to play Millen and Forrest. We mentioned it earlier, get them involved and see how we got on. At the end of the day, we're going to have more possession in this game. They're not going to have to do as much defending as what we would expect to be doing in league games. So it's a good opportunity maybe to test that theory and see how they get on together. It's certainly a game we go into with confidence, but I think the important thing is winning the games and creating some momentum again. We had that momentum not so long ago when we won 3, 4, 5 games in a row, whatever it was. And I think this is an opportunity now to win a couple of games in the Betfred Cup. We've drawn against Ross County. We then take that form into the St Mirren game, which is absolutely massive. Let's not beat around the bush. That's going to be a massive game. St Mirren aren't in the greatest form either, but they've got a few games to catch up. There is a high possibility that if they win those games in hand, they go above us. So going into that game, it's vitally important we win these next 2 games in the Cup just to give us that confidence going into it.
Yeah, exactly. I think, cup runs can breed a bit of confidence. They're almost a bit of a relief from league duty, but they can have that kind of positive influence going forward. And I agree with you. I think we need a bit of momentum going into this next run of kind of 3-4 games in the league in particular. I think they're all massive games on paper and big opportunities for points as well. So, and as you say, it's better to have points on the board, I think, but there's always that threat when they've got games in hand that they could have a little run of results and kind of play catch up. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's really important to get momentum going again. We had that. We won 4 on the bounce, including the last 2 Betfred Cup games, but haven't won since. So it's really important to get back into winning ways, really. What are you thinking prediction wise then for it?
Again, it's very difficult. We don't know a lot about Stenhousemuir, but you would like to think we'll be too strong for them on the day. Just looking at our squad and even the replacements that we're bringing in should be far too good for Stenhousemuir, despite them having a really good start. And obviously to note that we're doing this prior to Saturday's fixtures. I think they've got Edinburgh City, so we don't know how they're going to get on. But I think we will be too good for them. I'm going to go a comfortable day. I'm going to go 3-0, and I think it'll be really important for the defence to keep a clean sheet in this game as well, just to breathe a bit of confidence into them as well, because we've been severely lacking in the clean sheet department this season. So 3-0 I'm going for.
I'm going to go one better. I'm going to go 4. I think it will be quite similar to Edinburgh City, but I agree with you. I think Edinburgh City had maybe a little bit more quality in their team on paper. So yeah, I think it will be a fairly routine afternoon for us. But yeah, hopefully we can get back to winning ways and make a big move to securing our place in the last 16.
Is this Scotland's time? Can we finally qualify for a major tournament for the first time since 1998 in the France World Cup? Or will it once again be glorious failure for the men in dark blue? The nation holds its breath. It's the playoff final in Serbia against Serbia. Euan, how are you feeling? Can we do this? Can we qualify for Euro 2020 and raise the mood across the nation after what's been a pretty horrific year for the country?
I have to say I'm more confident after the last couple of performances in the Nations League. Obviously, the Israel game, we spoke about it at length, that I think it was the tension around the game and the build-up. Probably the team was maybe feeling the nerves at that occasion a little bit, but I think the last two games we've been really impressive, to be honest. I think there's been two really good performances. And I think, last time we were in a playoff, we had a Holland team with superstars all over the park. So I think we have a chance. We do have a chance, but it's still going to be an incredibly difficult game. I was just having a look at the Serbia squad. I mean, in particular in the forward areas, they have a lot of quality, like some Mitrovic, Dusan Tadic, who's at Ajax, Lazovic, Jovic, who's at Real Madrid. They do have a lot of quality, and the boy Milinkovic-Savic as well, who's at Lazio, really good midfield player. So they do have quality.
We've got Scott McKenna.
Oh, sorry, I forget about that. We've qualified. There's no point playing the game. Serbia should just forfeit the game now that they've seen Scott McKenna's available. But they do have a lot of quality around the park, and I think it could be quite similar to the Czech Republic game. I think we might need to ride our luck at times, but hopefully we can play on the counter like we did. I do think Ryan Fraser's going to be a massive miss. I believe he's pulling out the squad due to a hamstring issue, which is typical. We found a combination up front that was working really well, and we've lost one of them for our biggest game in 13 years. So it's that's a massive blow, because I was really impressed with Ryan Fraser the last couple of games. But for me, I think he'll go with Christie. Probably just slot him in where Fraser's been playing, or Armstrong, one of the two. I think they both give you that kind of forward running from midfield. So, but yeah, we're definitely in with a chance, but it is going to be very difficult, and we're going to need to be really disciplined. But I think what we've seen in the last few games under Clark is, I think shape-wise, we've always been really well organised, and that's something we always kind of assumed over time Clark would bring into the national setup, is being organised, more difficult to break down. And I think we're definitely going to have to be that against a very good Serbia team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a case of basically shit-festing our way to the Euros. I think I've said for a long time now, months ago, I think I said that I wasn't confident against either Norway or Serbia. But I'm with you. I'm slightly more optimistic, going by our previous performances and our previous results. We are, after all, unbeaten in how many games is it, Euan? You is it
8 games? That's our longest run in 30 years.
Yeah. So I mean, we are going into the game with confidence. I'm with you. I think it's a massive blow losing Ryan Fraser. As you say, he formed a terrific partnership with Lyndon Dykes, and it looked like we'd finally found something going forward. But obviously, that's obviously not going to come into effect for this one, which is obviously very disappointing. I think it makes life a little bit easier to get Ryan Christie back in. I don't think it's a bad replacement at all. Ryan Christie's a very good player, and he'll add a bit of quality, and he'll zip around Lyndon Dykes and get onto these flick-ons and hold up and offer something slightly different. I think the big question mark is over the defence. Obviously, the previous couple of games we had to jig about with our defence slightly. But we have got all these players coming back into the squad now. The likes of Tierney is coming back. Robertson's going to be available for the game. How do you see us lining up in defence? Because it's a big call now. We've done very well with the likes of Gallagher and Constantine in there, but do we bring the players in that are of better quality for this game?
I mean, I totally agree with Constantine being called back up to the squad, because I think he came in and he didn't look out of place at all. In the two Nations League games, I thought he was excellent over the two games, but I can't see him starting Constantine ahead of Tierney if Tierney's going to be available. I think he'll go into that kind of left of the centre backs, back three. He's been playing there for Arsenal as well, so I think he'll come in. I do think it's a bit of a debate over the kind of the central one. Liam Cooper's in the squad, but I can't see him playing because he's not played a lot for Leeds since the last international break. I think he struggled with the injury he picked up in that, so I can't see Liam Cooper. I expect him to pull out probably. So I think it would really be between McKenna and Gallagher. But I think those 3 games, I think Gallagher was excellent. I think he's throwing his hat in the ring for that starting place. I do think he has a thing for McTominay as the right centre back, so I can't see that changing, especially after he's played the last 5 games there. So I do think it's a toss up with that one. But personally, I'd like to see Gallagher because I'm not a huge fan of McKenna. I think he has a lot of limitations. And I think Gallagher's really stepped up to the plate those last few games. I think he's looked excellent. The 5 caps he's had, all 5 of them, I think he's been really, really good. So I'd like to see him given the chance. But I do think Tierney will come back in. I can't see him starting Considine, and Robertson will obviously come back in on the left-hand side. Wee bit of a debate on the right-hand side, because obviously Stephen O'Donnell had to play, with Palmer having to pull out his squad. Do you see him going with Palmer there?
Do you know something? Steve Clarke is notorious for sticking by his players. I know Stephen O'Donnell for his time at Kilmarnock. He done okay. I'm not O'Donnell's biggest fan. I think I've made my feelings clear about that in previous episodes, that I don't rate him as an international quality player. But he did come in and do okay, and I can see us sticking with that, to be honest. I'm in agreement with you in terms of the centre-backs. I think the only decision to be made is whether we go with Gallagher or McKenna. I think Tierney has to come back in there. He's playing for Arsenal. He's playing in the position at Arsenal that he's going to be playing for Scotland. McTominay, as you say, he looks like he's a dead cert to start in there. So, as I said, the only question mark is McKenna or Gallagher, and I'm 100% with you. I think just Gallagher's record alone gets him in the team. I think it's 5 games unbeaten, without conceding a goal.
We conceded the last 3 is not obviously 3 clean sheets in the last games, but conceded away in Cyprus and Kazakhstan at home. So
sorry, yeah. But yeah, I think Gallagher offers that sort of, that we know what we're getting with Gallagher. McKenna always, for me, throws up a mistake in there. He almost reminds me of Effie Ambrose. Us, there's always a mistake in him, and I just feel in this game we can't afford to make mistakes. I think we are going to go into the game going to try and make it scrappy, try and hit Serbia on the break. I think Serbia will come at us. You've just reeled off a list of quality players for Serbia, and I think it'll almost be defence against attack for a long time in the game, and we hope that we can keep it 0-0 for as long as possible, frustrate them, maybe nick a goal on the break, maybe even take it all the way to penalties. We showed how good we were on the penalties. I don't think it'll be a great game to watch. I think I'll be hiding behind the couch for most of it. As I said at the start, I wasn't confident at all going into the game. I'm still not confident, but I'm slightly more optimistic. I just think Serbia will be too good. As much as it breaks my heart to say, I just feel like they'll be too good, especially at home. If we were at home, I'd have much more confidence, but I just feel the only way we're going to do this is if Serbia have an off night and we have one of these performances that will live long in the memory.
Yeah, we've talked about a lot of the options in the squad, so we'll kind of touch on the squad in general. Is there any real surprises or any sort of disappointments for inclusion?
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised to see Grant Hanley in there. I think he's came out of the wilderness a little bit, but I get why he's there. He's doing okay at Norwich down south. He's playing every week. He brings that familiarity to the squad. He's been there and done it, a bit of experience. So I get why he's there. I'm not quite sure. On that one. I think it's great to see Craig Gordon back. I don't think it's any surprise to see him back in the squad. I think everybody knew if he started getting games, he would show his quality, and he's doing that, albeit in the lower leagues. But I don't think there's any doubt that he's a Premiership class goalkeeper. Having said that, obviously Marshall will be the first choice. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And I think the other one that's great to see is Lee Griffiths. Yeah, okay, he's not played a lot of football with Celtic. He's had the odd cameo, but in those cameos, he showed exactly what he can do. He's scoring goals. He's sharp. And, if we need a goal over in Serbia, who better to come into the team than Lee Griffiths?
Yeah, I mean, I'm delighted to see Griff back in the squad. I think Clark kind of touched on it in his announcement that, you know, if we're in Serbia needing a goal with 20 minutes to go, you know, out the strikers we've got available, there's no one I would rather be coming off the bench to go and produce a moment of magic and pull something out of nothing. So I'm delighted to see Griffiths. I don't think he'll start. I think he'll kind of go with a similar setup. I can't see him going 2 out-and-out strikers away in Serbia. So I do think it'll be one to come off the bench if we're needing to try and chase the game and get a goal. Hanley, I'm not overly surprised because he's been in previous squads with Clark. He's had to pull out with injuries, but I think more for the experience side of things. He's got 30 caps, I think 29 or 30 caps. It's probably more than a lot of our centre-backs put together. So I think for that experience, I think that's the same with Craig Gordon as well, just a bit of experience for a massive game. One I would maybe say that I found a bit frustrating is Shankland. I think I would have liked to have seen Nisbet come into the squad. Personally, I think he's had a really bright start to the season. And out of the two strikers, he's the one more in form, I would say, than Shankland. I still have my frustrations with Ollie Burke and Callum Patterson. I don't know what position they play. I'm not 100% sure they know what positions they play. I don't know really what they offer, the squad, personally. But other than that, there's no real shocks in the squad. I think it's a strong squad. He's obviously made 27 players he's picked, so he's obviously taken into account the COVID issues we had last month and players pulling out. So I think and with the games being away from home, it's not quite as easy to go and draft guys in like he did last time. So I think he's deliberately picked a bigger squad for that reason. But look, we have quality in there that could touch Serbia, but I do worry. I think they have a lot of quality in their attacking areas, which it's I agree with you. I'm going to be hiding behind the sofa, but for those who haven't heard the news, the game's free to view. I know the game's on Sky, so I'd encourage everyone in Scotland to get behind the team from your sofa, on your iPad, whatever, because it is the biggest game we've had in 13 years since Italy at home in the Euros. So, and I'm sure the team will realise that they'll have a country behind them, and hopefully we can create a bit of history on Thursday night.
Yeah, listen, you're right. You're obviously a hardened Scotland fan. You go away following Scotland, a member of the Tartan Army. I've yet to go to an away game. It's something that I want to do going forward. I've been to a few home games, obviously, but you know, in my lifetime, okay, 98 was the last time. I've just turned 30 years old. I was 8 years old and back in 98. Can't remember much about the World Cup, and there'll be so many people in the country that are exactly the same as me. You know, in my adult life, you know, I would love to see Scotland get into major competitions every opportunity we get, because it's an experience that, you know, our fathers have had, and following Scotland across, it'd be great to have that for us as well. You know, you always talk about the England game having that one moment, you know, drawn 2-2, obviously that wasn't the moment, and that's why it broke our hearts so much. But having that one moment to look back on and say I was there, you know, this is the opportunity now for us to get to the Euros, and it would be almost fitting to get to the Euros and play 2 games at Hampden. And what's the chances of that? So, but obviously onto the squad just quickly, because you did touch on it, and I wanted to pick up on something you said about Shankland and Nisbet. I think you're 100% right. I'm not quite understanding that one. I think, you know, looking at the two players, you know, and we mentioned at the start of the season, Shankland had a lot to prove, and I don't think he's done it yet. And I think he's only scored 2 or 3 goals in the league so far. Nisbet, he's came in from the wilderness, you know, never played at the level before, hit the ground running, scoring goals, creating chances. Probably the best player in the Hibs team that's doing well just now. I think if we were really looking at giving someone a chance on form, Nisbet gets in over Shankland. But again, you're probably looking at that experience for such a big game. You know, he's probably went with Shankland's been in around the squad. It's maybe too big a game to take a chance on someone that's not been with a squad before. So, yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm so nervous ahead of the game. I'm looking forward to it, don't get me wrong. But there's a part of me that thinks it'll be glorious failure again, unfortunately.
What are you thinking prediction wise then?
as I said, it's Scotland, isn't it? We've all got that hope. We're all holding on to that hope, but I think there'll be a lot of disappointed Scots on Thursday night and Friday morning. I just can't see it. I'm going to go 2-0 Serbia.
I'm going to be positive.
Shock.
I'm going to be positive. I'm probably going to break my own heart, but I think we're in for a long haul on Thursday night. And I don't know why. I think we're going to be very un-English and win the game on penalties.
I would absolutely take that. I think the whole country would take that. The whole nation of Scotland would be absolutely delighted, even if it was the worst 120 minutes of football in world history. If we got through on penalties, I don't think you'd hear anybody complaining in Scotland. So fingers crossed you're right. We'll all be watching. We'll be holding our breaths. Come on, Scotland, we can do this. Let's get to the Euros.
As I mentioned earlier, it's a busy few weeks for the club and country with lots of games to look at, preview and review. So this is the first of the 3 episodes we'll bring you over the next 10 days. On Friday, we'll bring you another episode looking back at the Stenhousemuir and Scotland games and look ahead to the Airdrie game and the second wave of Scotland games.
You can find all our episodes, including this one, on all good podcast streaming sites, including iTunes and Spotify. We're also on YouTube, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can also find all the links on our social media channels. We're on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Just search for TalkLivi to find us there.
If none of those options suit you, though, all you have to do is head to our website, talklivipodcast.libsyn.com, where you'll find every single episode that we've done over the last few years.
So that's it for this episode. As Euan said, keep an eye out for our next episode, which will be out on Friday. But thanks again for you all for listening and continuing to support us. But for now, from Euan and myself, come on, Livi, and let's hold our breaths. Come on, Scotland.
Boys,